What's up everyone, Lehvorak of DefensorArtz TV, and this time we are playing a visual novel known as Narcissu. In this visual novel, I will just play this game by myself. Compared to my other visual novels that I played with other people, we'll see what happens when I continue this series, and most likely I'll just play this series by myself, just to see how that goes. So, I did not hear so much about this thing, but so far it's about another hospital thing, almost similar to like a Katawa shoujo kind of setting. But we'll find out. Let's get going. We'll start from the very beginning, guys. So, interesting. That's a lot. Spring 1996, Setsumi. What I like about this game so far is it actually talks for you, but I guess I have to read that. I did not hear any voice said anything from there. So it's like, even so I attended elementary school like all the others, and during summer breaks I often played until I was utterly tanned. So June, shortly after my entry into middle school, the day after I ordered my swimsuit for use the next month, my first hospitalization has begun. On a day just before the first semester midterms, on a day when the first drops of rain were so cruelly cold, falling from amidst the pure white of the overcast sky. Of course, first time it happened, all my classmates came and visited me almost every day. Just like Hisao from Katawa Shoujo visited him every day during the time he was in the hospital. Then it started dwindling. I'm assuming it has to be the same way. And when I was released, or never mind, they even came to my house on weekends to play. But that was only the first time around. Autumn into winter, winter into spring. A vicious cycle. Hospitalization, release clinics, and hospitalization again. I hope you guys leave a like, subscribe to DefensorArtz TV if you can. But yeah, I am playing Narcissu if you guys forgot what I was doing. And before I knew it, even the classmates I once called friends turned into acquaintances. And then into strangers. Well, that's sad. That's really sad. As if with every changing of seasons, I was being erased from their collective memory. I see. That's kind of depressing. Oh. So 8 years later, early summer 2004, protagonist. Summer, flowing sweat. The gigantic electronic scoreboard in the driver's license examination facility lit up all at once. My eyes and everyone else looked for our respective numbers. 237, 237. and of some 8-column of lit text. Sure enough, my examination number was shining in the mist. A nearly empty car, or train car, perhaps thanks to the beautiful afternoon, almost alone in the train. I was heading back home from the examination hall. My left hand held in traffic regulation handbook, and my breast pocket, I don't have that on myself, but held a brand new driver's license. So now I've got a license as well. I muttered somewhat happily, but there was no strong feeling behind it. I never particularly wanted to drive a car. I never particularly had any motive for it. It was what my colleagues and the Technical Institute both recommended, that I at least get a driver's license. That night, when I told my parents that I had gotten my license, they merely replied as, "I see." And when I asked if I could borrow the car just for a test run, they instantly and curtly said just one thing: no. While I did not really want to drive the car or anything, the response was all too expected. Those were my parents for you. The next day, I awoke with chest pain and went to the hospital. Sickness and generally had nothing to do with each other, which is why I found the ER waiting room to be utterly boring. And just when I thought they were through examining me, they ordered an X-ray and some blood tests. Then they left. And again, I was left waiting for a long, long time. I'd already polished off 3 volumes of Shonen Jump and was just about to start on a 4th when they admitted me to the hospital right then and there. And it seemed that my new license, which will lay snugly in my breast pocket, would have to wait a long time for a turn to come. Nightfall. Protagonist, autumn 2004. Right around when all too noisy cicadas had finally gone silent, I once again find myself in the hospital, as per usual. Of course, it wasn't as if I'd been there the entire time. I came and went, a futile cycle. My first surgery was a month before. After that, I started doing the 5-minute commute to and from the hospital by moped or something. And from then on, I was hospitalized, discharged, ordered to clinic, the hospitalized again and again and again. While I still had no clue what PET or ERESA stood for, I don't know what it is either. In no time at all, several months had already passed. As my appetite decreased, my medication increased. Well, that's kind of just terrible. I could feel my own physical strength atrophyingly away. I kept imagining that my legs were getting thinner. But the needle of the weight scale rudely informed me, it's not just your imagination. And yet I kept looking at myself with detached interest, as if it were happening to somebody else entirely, as if I were looking at the scene or on the TV or the like. My mind would not grasp what had so suddenly happened to my body. Nothing within me was telling me that this was real at all. And that's why, even though it was all happening to me, I kept looking on as if it were happening to someone far away. Protagonist, winter 2004. A day of winter, around when the Christmas trees had vanished from the streets. I was discharged home as a kind of year's end treat. That's not really a treat at all, I'm assuming. It just feels like work. But anyways, seemed like an exercise in total transience. Anyways, but still, it made me slightly happy. I guess I am happy about going home. Being in a hospital for a long time is not even fun at all. I mean, it can get really depressing. Especially when you're getting like a lot of negative comments about what happened or what's happening to you, and nothing good's gonna happen at all. Anyways, I traveled back to a home I had not seen in a long time in the midst of a freezing rain. Strangely enough, my entire family was there. My parents, who I had never so much as talked to me, came out to meet me with terribly stilted smiles. And my little sister, with whom I'd never had a pleasant word, had made my favorite cream stew and fried shrimp just for me. They made me sit at the table. They peeled tangerines for me. They were cruelly kind. It was an impressive display. At this point, a little thought occurred to me about my new driver's license, which was still stuffed away in my pocket. That perhaps things would end for the license without it ever having known any use. And surrounded by a trio of stilted, strained smiles, I kept that thought as if it were someone else's business, with dispassion, ambiguity, and total disinterest. January 2005. A new year has begun, and I returned to the hospital. On this day, instead of my usual 4F room, I end up in a conference room of sorts. They took me there, and then my father and the doctors had a little talk. I joined in. Well, they talked to me, so this is their so-called announcement. They said it in a terribly roundabout fashion, but they told me that I was going to die. I see, is the only word I can reply. I had no other words aside I see. It was the only thing that left my mouth from beginning to end. And the doctor's ballpoint pens flew across paper as if in response to my words. Those probably hospice enrollment procedures, businesslike to the last. My father was the same. So it's this simple. Was the only real thought I had. That day, I was transferred from 4F to 7F, from a 6-person room to a private room. It was a little different from the other wards, this 7F. First of all, the floors were sparkling clean, and second of all, the ceiling was higher than I'd ever seen it. The rooms were very nice and had large windows from which the warm daylight streamed in as if by design. But the windows only opened a little. I tested them out, and my head would just barely fit one, or fit out of one. The color of my ID bracelet had changed as well. The bracelet that I had worn ever since that first hospitalization, the one that I had my name and blood type recorded on it, its color had now changed from blue to white. A high ceiling, white vinyl bracelet, a window that would not open more than 15 centimeters, the TV programs celebrating the new year were still playing when I transferred to this 7F, and it was at the dawn of that very year that I met her for the first time. What? Met who? Oh.
Narcissus.
Well.
冬7回
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the first part of Narcissu. We will catch you guys on the next video. So make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe to DefensorArtz TV if you like to hear my voice when I read this awesome visual novel. On the back of me right there, you might have seen or something. Yeah, right there is my cat. Yeah, my cat will listen to me while I'm reading this, so hope you guys enjoyed that. You can check out my other visual novels right over here. I do Katawa Shoujo right over there. That is the longest gameplay I have right now. And I also have other visual novels right over here if you want to check those out. Check those fun videos out. I just roleplay with it or joke around. This one, I'll try to take this one quite seriously than what I usually do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this fun visual novel of Narcissu. We'll catch you guys on the next video. So Lehvorak signing out. Peace, everyone.